Good morning. Hey, Ella.
Hello, I remembered to unmute my mic this time.
Good.
I'm
See,
ready.
every time we have one more little improvement. They say that like
Mm,
improvement compounds on itself, right? Like you do one improvement, like it's not like
yeah,
1%. Like if you improve 1% every day, it's not like 100% in a year. It like compounds. It's a big deal.
yes.
And you know how I feel about that. You know how I feel about incremental improvement. My
I
students know
do.
this too. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you guys on a Sunday morning. So early, if you're new here, my name is RC Helix. I am the creator of Flux Destiny and the Flux Fantasy RPG. And I'm here with my right hand woman and head of our RPG community, and my dear friend Ella, who's also manning the chat here, helping me as we work along. Ella, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. And we're bright and early. Flux Destiny, I feel like, is sometimes associated with like late night streams, but we get out there during the day sometimes to have some fun, in the sunshine. So we're
Well,
not strictly vampires.
what's so funny is that about an hour before this thing started, she
Mm.
saw my Legend of Zelda sleep shirt. Like I was away. I was like, okay, we're meeting. Like we had our like meeting right before to make sure we had everything ready to go. And I was like, I was like, okay, I promise I'm not going to look like this. I had my
Yeah.
sleep shirt and like I had to shave and everything and get like looking good for you guys. So yeah, that's a Sunday morning for us.
Mhm.
So, anyways, just welcoming first hi to everyone who happens to be, obviously our longtime fans who are here. It's great to see all you guys. Um, I just a little bit about me. If you're new to the community, I've been working in entertainment for over 20 years. I've been writing, producing, and creating across film and animation and publishing. Before going all in into Flux Destiny, I ran studio divisions at big companies like Funimation, which is now Crunchyroll, where I worked on original productions and served as executive producer on films like Mass Effect, Paragon Lost, and Dragon Age: Dawn of the Seeker. So if you're big fans of those kind of RPGs, those kind of
I am.
you are, I know you are. So that was a fun. Those were fun experiences, and I produced all sorts of live action movies and music and things like that. But now with our indie studio Hero Helix, we're able to build the kind of universes that we wanted to make when we were kids. One that's like rich and character driven and actually respects its audience, and that's why we are so like hardcore about like our lore and trying not to retcon things if possible. Like here, retconning is like a four-letter word, so we try our very best to avoid it. It's not completely avoidable, but we work so hard on our universe and our magic system and everything that you'll get to learn about in here today, that we try to avoid it as much as possible. But it's not just a story. It's meant to be a place that you can escape, connect, and be part of something that you're proud to put yourself into, right? And here we kind of are at the capital of OCs here because Flux Destiny. If you've been following us for a while and you've been watching our socials, or if you've been in our Discord, which by the way, if you're here at this event, our Discord is open. If you're not already in our Discord, check the description in YouTube, and you'll be able to get into our Discord. Usually it's closed, and you have to either buy one of our things or get a certain tier on Patreon, so you can get into it now. Um, but anyways, we wanted to create something that everyone was really proud of. Um, it's got everything that we love. Flux Destiny is a labor of love that took many years to put together and build this universe, and creating a place where you can create your own OCs. Like like I was saying earlier, like you've probably seen tons of like, who are these Flux Destiny OCs? What is this? Right. And so we're going
Mm.
to talk about that today so you guys get to know what that is. And basically, we built a universe and a magic system where you can basically bring any character into. And so it doesn't matter where they originated from, you can bring them into our universe. That's how like malleable our magic system is. So we're pretty proud of that. So anyway, so just a little bit about Ella. We've been doing last month we did Flux Fantasy Fest. It was our first online minicon, virtual minicon, right? We did a
Yep.
whole week. And
I wouldn't call that one mini.
oh, excuse
That
me.
one was,
That was not a mini. That was not a mini. That was the full con.
that was a full. It
That was
was
the
pretty
full
big.
con. I'm
Yeah.
mixing up my my terms now. That was the full one. Like we went like we never do anything like half ass here. It's always like, hey, I got this idea. Why don't we do? Actually, what we're doing right now was original thought for Flux Fantasy Fest, and it
Yeah.
ballooned into this whole. How many events? We had like 25 events or something.
We had 23 events, I think, in total over the course of the week. Um, and I think we actually added a couple the
We
week
did.
of. We like ended up going live a couple of extra times.
We not only went live, and then we had some really awesome events in our Discord server where people had fun,
Mhm.
getting together, and it was a lot of fun. It was a really cool experience, and I was very very proud of it. It's thanks to her. She put that whole thing together, and it ran like clockwork. Especially for our first one, it was crazy. You know, so you deserve. Again, I'm always like throwing it at her, but I have to do it because that was a
Too
big.
early for praise.
It's too early. Okay, all right. Well, it's never
Too
too early
early.
for me. So if you want to
Oh,
throw me some love, you can. Um, so for this particular, sorry if you hear my dog coughing. I had to choose between putting him out in the other room, but if I do that, he'll come scratch at the door. So it's like, okay, the occasional cough versus scratching at the door. And I was like,
no, we love him. He's like our coughing mascot.
yeah, for sure. Our coughing mascot. I need to draw that. I need to draw that. So the purpose of so today during this opening event, so Ella, do you want to first kind of go over what's coming up, and then
Yeah, I'd love
we'll
to.
go into.
So this is the start. This is the first event of this sort of mini con. So we're running today and tomorrow, and then that's it for this month. We're gonna do kind of mini cons. We're gonna try to do them every month, and then have like a big week long con every year. So this is the first month that we're doing sort of these mini cons where it'll be like a couple of days of fun events and stuff that kind of mirrors our big event. And that's just to kind of get you in the mindset of Flux Fantasy and to get you excited about what's coming up. We're always coming up with new games, new events, new things that are coming out for Flux Fantasy. So we just wanted to make sure that like we have time each month to tell you guys about them. And so we've got some fun stuff coming out this month that we're going to be talking about. And kind of getting ready for our summer events. RC and I are very excited about the summer, so we're doing that kind of stuff. So over the course of the next couple of days, we'll be kind of hinting at some fun stuff, and also just to tell you about some other fun things in the community that will be happening, um, and that sort of stuff. So let me tell you about the events of the week. So today you are in the first event. And this one is we are going to talk about sort of the basics of Flux Destiny. We're going to go over kind of the rundown of some common things that people ask us about, kind of just the basics, and then we might even open it up for questions if we have time at the end, and we'll do a little like Q&A about lore and that kind of stuff. Because it's important that you get the foundation if you're going to make an OC. This week is sort of, or these next 2 days are sort of all about OC creation. How to what's the best way to make an OC? If I have questions about an OC, like where do I go? That kind of stuff. So that's this event. And then at 3 o'clock Central Time, we're going to be doing a tour around Fortuna. We're going to be pulling up the map, looking at different locations, talking about different regions in Fortuna, and maybe even hinting at a wider world. So that will be fun, kind of to talk about the background of you want your OCs to come from somewhere, so that's important to kind of look at the world map and see where your character fits in. And then tonight at 5 p.m. Central in the Discord, so the first two events are on YouTube, and then at 5 p.m. on Discord, we're doing a little like Flux Destiny mixer where you can just come and hang out. There's not really an agenda or an event. It's just kind of a place where you have scheduled time to like talk and meet with each other and introduce your OCs to each other. That would be a really great way to have that fun event. And it's sort of just run by you guys. There's it's just we've opened up one of the chat rooms so that you guys can go and have fun and kind of if you want to eat dinner or just hang out or whatever. That's a fun way to do it. And then tomorrow, we start here again at 11 a.m. Central. We're doing a workshop on the powers of Flux Fantasy. So, powers that you can give your character, the different types of groups in Fortuna. So, the 4 different types of chemistry specialties, and then kind of going into the deeper sub levels of studies. What kind of powers can you have? Where do your powers fit? Maybe there's something specific that you're trying to look for, but you don't have a place that you think that they belong. That's a good way to, that's going to be a good event for you, because we're going to kind of go into each of the groups. And then at 5 tomorrow, again, we've got another mixer. So if you've missed the first one or you couldn't make it, or you want to go to both, we've got another mixer at 5. And then that's going to be in the Discord. And then the last event of this mini con is Monday night, tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central. It'll be back here on YouTube. RC and I will be doing a little demo of the one-player game that we made for the last fest that we didn't get to show off, unfortunately. We didn't have time. So we thought we'll show it off this time. And Hugo's going to go on a little piece of the adventure. And he's going to... we're going to demo it a little bit. So if you have played it, you can see how Hugo's going to go through it. And if you haven't played it, maybe it'll give you a reason to jump in the one-player game yourself and try it out. So those are the events. Oh, and that event, we're going to end with some fun stuff. So you're definitely going to want to be there, because we're going to do a teaser for something that RC and I are really excited for. Yeah.
The thing is that what's interesting is that we've kind of tried to create different experiences for like different situations, right? Like the one-player games, it's not all the time, sometimes it's hard to get your friends together, and to play. Sometimes you just want to do something by yourself, right? And so writing these little, having these like one-player games gives you that experience where you can take your OC through a one-player game. And we had a lot of people who got that one-player game and had a great time with it. You can see the reviews when you go there. She did a great job. She designed that one, and it was really great. And the then we have our Flux Fantasy Play Nights. So we'll talk about that in a little while, which are like official game nights that we put together that you can play full on campaigns in. So we'll talk about that in just a while. Before we go any further, if you are interested, you can see the links below. There's a little thing below. If you go to links.fluxdestiny.com, that takes you to everything. So that's our link tree. It has everything you could possibly find. One of the great things that you can get in there is actually, we just started last month. I think it was last month, or was it this month? I can't remember. Time's running into itself now. Is the this whole like OCs are Flux OCs on social, and we did it with like a central hub being Hugo. Our main character has his own socials on Blue Sky and Twitter, and he posts in character, and he interacts with other Flux Destiny OCs, and we've kind of created this like ecosystem of Flux Destiny OCs who they create their own accounts, and they live in character on their accounts, and they also like post about their RPG adventures and all sorts of cool stuff. So it's a very cool experience that I've really enjoyed watching everyone come together on and do. So if you go to links.fluxdestiny.com, at the bottom of that page, there's the links to Hugo's socials if you want to follow him. And you can look at other Flux Destiny OCs to create your own social accounts and follow. So it's definitely worth checking out. And then one last thing, and I'll bring this back up again in just a little bit, but if you go to these two links below, patreon.com/fluxdestiny, that's our Patreon, which we have all these really cool tiers. You can dip your toes in by just getting a Discord pass, up to we have game night passes, which are in there. We have all sorts of stuff that we'll explain a little later. I also do one-on-one and group art classes. So if you want to learn how to draw or to improve your character design work, I know I've got some of my students here in the chat, in the live chat with us, so you can check out those too. Those are a lot of fun. And then if you want to, all our things, like all our RPG related things, like our games, our core rule book and everything is available at shop.fluxdestiny.com on our Gumroad store. So if you go there, you can go check it out and grab yourself a core rule book, or get the mini game that's there. Then we've got all these like cool like combo packs, because you can also get like if you want to GM and host your own games, you can get the core rule book and a pre-written game that's already there for you. Like we've already written everything for you, and all you got to do is get your friends together and bring their OCs in and have a great time. So you can check all that out at those links below. One last thing before I get into the main stuff: bring your friends. Like right now, this is the perfect time since our Discord is open during the event. Bring your
Mm-hmm.
friends in. If you got friends that you want to introduce into the server, you can bring them in now. They don't have to buy anything or anything to get into the server during this stage. So, and you get to stay. So if you come in now, you get to stay in the server. So
I
if you,
guess we won't kick you out.
I guess freeloaders. So if you, so if you have friends, bring them in. We love, that's how this community is really like grown and flourishes, because people brought their friends in, and it's created this really, and not only they brought their friends in, what I absolutely love about it is that everyone has kind of like made new friends, and
Mm.
they start like, it's really awesome because during our like sketch streams or other events, they will support each other, which is super cool. Like they'll they'll buy stuff for each other's like OCs, or they'll like pitch in for an art auction or whatever. It's very
Mhm.
cool. So if you're looking for a non-toxic place that you can go and have a good time and make some new friends and just enjoy creating characters and telling stories, you definitely want to join our Discord server. So am I missing anything before I go into the big stuff, Ella?
I think that's it. This week we'll be talking more about the events and other things that we've got going on. We always do kind of an update in our Discord. So tomorrow night we've got like an update of all of the things, the new things for the week, and so you're going to want to be there. It's not listed as a Flux Fantasy event because we do it every week, but that's kind of part of our schedule. So that's the way to get it, is to get into the Discord. And yeah, please bring your friends. We've had people who made friends in the channel. And if you are somebody who is making friends in the channel, you're going to want to bring other friends in there, because you start talking and you get excited, and everybody has been enjoying the slice games and their OC socials, and you're going to want to be able to bring them into the joy of it, because I think it's really fun, and I talk about it a lot outside of work, and so I need to bring people in too. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. So I'm glad that everybody is here. I'm excited um, that you guys are joining us. So many of you are joining us on a Sunday morning, afternoon, and we're gonna talk about some Flux Destiny stuff. So as we go through this, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll try to either answer in the chat or we'll answer it out loud. It's a good time if you have been wanting to make an OC, or are confused about one of our main concepts. Flux Destiny is a big world, and if you want your OC to properly be in it, this week is your week to ask questions and get the full rundown so you can make some awesome characters. So
Well said, well said. Because that's like, if you want to make characters in this universe, this is a great time. Now, this is a great live to be out there, because we're going to give you kind of the fundamentals and walk you through everything so you can kind of see where everything is, and then talk about the RPG. So um, let me get this up here. So let's talk about the manga. So first, the kind of the core of all this is the manga itself. So there's a manga series for Flux Destiny. That you can see here. It's kind of, sorry, Ella, it's covering you and me. You're getting
why?
covered more.
Why?
You're covering more than me. It's like comically over your face in a way that I swear it was not designed to
I
be that
am
way.
the manga. I am the
What's
manga.
you are? It's so funny because your arms are sticking out the sides, and it looks like you're, you're the manga. It's actually
uh,
completely. I swear this was not purposeful. I get my share of being covered up in the screen share. So I just want you to know. But anyways, the manga, they the manga itself is I draw it. I do. It is a. We actually had a Kickstarter several months ago that was like the kickoff to it, and it's planned out to be 18 volumes. Each volume is about 200 pages. It's a manga style format, so you can see some of these below. I do all the artwork and for the story. The universe follows. Okay, see now we're kind of both covered. Marco and Hugo
Okay.
are covering us. Um, so in Flux Destiny follows these two, Hugo and Marco. It takes place in a universe where everything revolves around karmistry, which is our unique magic system that allows people to manipulate the universe itself. So with karmistry, people can control the weather, they can design new species, they can even bend the laws of physics. And this is the reason why you can bring pretty much any OC into our universe. We have so many people who have their own incarnations of their OCs as Flux OCs, because the magic system is so malleable. And
Hmm.
so, it's the power to take control of reality, but with every action comes a risk, and we'll talk about that in just a bit. Because there's you can't have these kind of powers without there being some sort of major risk, and so we'll talk about that in just a bit. um, Marco and Hugo, at the heart of this story is Marco and Hugo, pictured here. Many of you are would definitely be familiar with Hugo because he's on everything and he's like in our PFPs and everything. um, these are two teenage best friends that are have big dreams of becoming famous escape artists who are one of several factions of character groups that could use karmistry in this universe. Um, the manga follows them. They're wanting to become famous escape artists, but then they stumble on something bigger than they ever imagined as part of this, and their friendship and their future is thrown into chaos. So it's a pretty epic story with that. With their clockbot Lucky by their side, they're forced to uncover the truth about Fortuna and the hidden forces shaping their fate. So try to write that in the most non-spoiler way possible for you guys. So uh,
I approve. I approve.
I had to do that. I was like, how do I write this without spoiling anything? Um, and a huge thank you again to those backers who helped us go far beyond our goal in Kickstarter to get the thing started, where we even earned a Projects We Love designation from Kickstarter itself. So that was really awesome. We were really proud of that. And
Projects
um,
they love and projects clearly you guys love too because you
yes,
helped us get that.
that means a lot to us. So we appreciate it. Um, so series structure, just so you know, there's like, see, look, I'm covered now. I'm covered now. See, you get all of L over here, and then I'm covered now. See, I told you there was equal covering in this.
Equal
Um,
coverage.
this whole story has been all planned out. So because Flux Destiny, the manga, is kind of the central hub of everything for the universe. Um, there's at least 8 major arcs. These have all been planned out. There's tons of new characters. The story ends with a big bang. You can even see kind of this redacted outline here that shows the whole series of all the volumes and everything planned out. So you can see this is not something that's like, oh, let me tell a story and like weaving it as we go. No, it's been years of development to get to this point. So it's really exciting. Um,
And each week the manga more and more pages start coming out because we were we were revving up, and now I really think that we're getting into full force here, right?
yeah,
You would
now
say.
we are because we one of the big problems we had Flux Fantasy Fest that kind of
Yeah.
slowed us down a bit because we had to get all that going. But here's some more pages so you can kind of see the style of it. If you go to the bottom, there's a link. This should get you there. Sometimes this link can be a little wonky. If it's wonky, you can go to the our link tree. But if you go to webtoons.fluxdestiny.com, that'll take you to our webtoons where it started there. Our Patreon members get to see all the pages early. So there are pages on Patreon that are not on Webtoons yet. So you can read the story early if you are in our Patreon. So be sure to check that out. So that's the manga, which is, like I said, the center of everything, following Marco and Hugo. Now, when I built this story, and I wanted it to be a universe that could exist outside of the main characters. So it's not a world that's like hinges on the existence of Marco and Hugo. If Marco and Hugo didn't exist, the world could keep going.
Mm.
And the idea was to create a world where all the your OCs can can have their own adventures in this universe, and it's so well planned that you can even visit the same locations or cross paths with them in your own
Hmm.
adventure. And so we wanted that to be really, really meticulous in the way that we did that. So um, definitely check that out. Uh,
Yeah, the world isn't separate.
yeah.
It's not, oh, I've got, this world that you guys can play in, but then, oh, the manga world is a little bit different. Like, we tried very, very hard to make the Flux Fantasy world where you can play and you can roll dice and you can role play the same world that Hugo and Marco go through, and just because the stories might be a little bit different, and the canon might be change a little bit as time goes on, they're still the same world, and so it's just, oh, we tried very hard. We didn't want it to be separate. We wanted it to feel like you are living in the same world that the main series is happening in. It's not separate. It's not this like alternate, oh, reality, which we do what if stories and stuff sometimes, but it's always the foundation is always the same. So Flux Destiny, exists in one way, and the rules of that world are pretty much the same across Flux Fantasy and Flux Destiny. So that was the goal.
Well, another important thing too was that the RPG is not an afterthought. Sometimes RPGs in other universes are kind of like, oh, here's the RPG, go, like knock yourself out, But no,
Right.
for us, the RPG is actually goes hand in hand with the main manga story, because um, we wanted it to be not only authentic because it follows it, but that they also speak the
Mm.
same language. So
Yeah.
99%, obviously some things that we have that happen in the manga can't really translate to the RPG sometimes, just because it's not practical to turn it into a game that way.
Mm.
But 99% of the things in Flux Fantasy follow Flux Destiny lore. And
Mm.
so it's when you transition, actually when you read the manga too, you'll see that they speak the same language, right? They're going to say the same things, they're going to refer to the same things. So there's not like this, two dictionaries of thought between the two. So that's really something that we're pretty proud of. So, anyways, so for all our new folks here, we're going to give you a quick rundown of our magic system, of what karmistry is, and so you can kind of get a handle on, you can already get thinking about creating your own OC. The truth is, if you just kind of know the basics, you can jump right into creating a character. In fact, we have the character creator guide, which is free. You can download that off our Gumroad store. Again, if you go to those links below here, the shop.fluxdestiny.com, you can download the character creator guide for free, and you can use it to kind of like educate yourself on all these different things I'm telling you about. That character creator guide is actually part of the larger core rulebook that has everything in it.
Mm.
But you can go ahead and start, and we even have our own uh, online character creator that was designed by one of our awesome fans who's become really important part of our community, Alan. Hey, Alan, I don't know if you're there, but saying hey. If you go to charactersheet.fluxfantasy.com, that's our online character creator, and you can actually go to our links, our link tree, and it's in there too. So if you happen to not have that. Okay, so let's talk about karmistry. So, what is karmistry? I'm going to pull up. Here we go. So, karmistry. So now we're both covered again, Ella. So
Goodbye.
equal. Yeah, you're gonna say we've kind of merged. We have one arm on each side, so we've kind of merged into this giant slide together. So, you know,
Well, I think your arm is a little bit is more muscly than mine.
it's it's
So
it's, I got to show the guns over here. Let's see if I can. So Karmistry is the unique magic system of Flux Destiny. It allows people to bend reality and perform feats beyond imagination. And it takes place in Fortuna, which is a country reminiscent of the early 1990s America. Actually, the whole universe itself takes place in this alternate Earth. So there's countries and that are and cultures that are kind of like analogous to ours in our real world, but it is Earth. It's just an alternate universe Earth. And so Fortuna is kind of the USA stand-in for it, and that's where the main story takes place. But as I was mentioning earlier, with Karmistry being able to, you know, is the main magic system. You have all these different types of groups within the universe. I had a page here. Hold on, let me see this one right here. I know it's kind of hard to see, but if you look at this page here in the manga, it explains there's like 4 different major groups. We've got special agents who work for the government. We have ink fighters who use karmistry through these things called sigils, which are tattoos infused with karma, and they can kind of come to life. Clockbots, which are robots that are powered by karmistry, and then we have the escape artists, who are the ones who directly manipulate karma through their powers. Um, so escape artists like Hugo, who is an escape artist, they directly manipulate the Great Machine, which is kind of like the underpinning of the universe, to be able to perform karmistry. And the universe is held together by this invisible system of cause and effect that is called the Great Machine. So that's kind of what I was trying to explain. And karma, which is the byproduct of human actions, is what people use to in this universe to perform their powers. But when you mess with the natural order of things, you'll start suffering what's called payback, and it's very literal in this world. Um, with with karmistry, it's a very straightforward process for like escape artists. It's something
Mhm.
that anyone can do in this universe. It's not something that you have to be born like with a special ability to do. It's really like anyone can do it. Depending on the type of karmistry you perform, you have to have different skills, right? Like escape artists are generally pretty smart because their work is very, very intensive. Like you're literally manipulating the way the universe works, right? So it's not someone who can just just off the street do it. You go and study it, and you go and learn how to do it, um, and to perform it. Other forms of karmistry, like ink fighting, don't require that same level of like deep knowledge about karmistry. It's more almost like push button karmistry, right? Where you have these sigils that'll come to life, um, but they have their own pros and cons with it. Another benefit of another cool thing about karmistry is the ability to create flux destinies, which are these self-contained universes, and they're kind of like these pocket worlds that escape artists can create, specifically escape artists, and that's kind of the name of our series, Flux Destiny, comes from the fact that they can kind of create these pocket worlds, and so everything is created in this world in these flux destinies. Like you can build buildings, you can make rooms, you can do all sorts of cool stuff with flux destinies, and it actually is a very unique um, mechanic within our RPG on how to create flux destinies and how to maintain them. We have like a whole system based on that in our RPG. So it's a big deal. Now only escape artists can make flux destinies, and that's because of their skill to perform directly karmistry. Um, so let's talk a little bit here about. Let me see. Sorry, got my little. So these are the different types of escape artists. You've got like they come in all shapes and sizes. You've got clockwork escape artists who are they're the ones who manipulate physics and kind of the way the universe works. Creative escape artists use different forms of um, they're able to create things out of karma, like karma constructs. Um, they also can do all sorts of cool things with sight and sound. That's really cool. We've got biochemistry, which is the largest form of chemistry in this universe. It has everything from elemental to flora and fauna. So it's this giant school of chemistry in there, and there's a lot of folks who find themselves in that particular school. Then we've got machine chemistry, where you can create clockbots and use your powers um, to create all sorts of cool machinery with it. And then finally, there's quantum chemistry, which is the experimental kind of like pushing the boundaries of what chemistry is capable of. That particular one is very dangerous form of chemistry because it's very experimental and incurs probably the worst kind of payback on it.
And we'll talk about all of these actually tomorrow during our powers section as well. So if you're like, wait, I want to know more about these different sections and different powers, we'll do a whole live on it tomorrow.
Finally, what is payback? We were talking about payback earlier. It's actually kind of the core mechanic of chemistry and our system. So it's like if you push chemistry too far, you will trigger payback. And that's basically the universe's immune response, right? So when you try to like think of it kind of like you're messing with how the universe works, the more intense your chemistry is, the more serious your payback is. And the payback can start from anything from, minor mishaps to, you know, dangerous entities that we call like these payback phantoms, and we'll address that shortly. There's a kind of a little picture here of them of all sorts. They come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. The worse your payback is, the more dangerous it becomes. And it's the universe's way of keeping the natural order together. Because if everyone was able to use their chemistry without like unchecked, obviously the universe would kind of fall apart, right? So this is the universe's way of kind of keeping people from going too far with it. Um, the reason why escape artists have the name escape artists, so if you're wondering what that means, why they're called that, it's that escape artists have earned their title by learning to dodge payback while performing their powers. And so that's what's led them to their greatest achievement, which is creating Flux Destinies in the process. And in Flux Destinies, the rules of payback don't apply. Um, so when you create a Flux Destiny, you can perform chemistry within it without worrying about payback coming after you. There's all sorts of like caveats and asterisks that go with that, and you'll learn about that in our other sessions. But in general, that's what that is. The payback scale. So payback, I was mentioning this earlier. There's like this growing scale of payback. There's the payback undertow, which is kind of the general like, hey, if you use your chemistry to create, a flower or something, you're not going to get like injured from something like that. What'll happen is it'll last for a few minutes, and then the undertow will kind of wipe the effects away. So a lot of stuff that is done with chemistry to manipulate how things work, like you change gravity or something, it'll be wiped away with that. And then over time, it grows. Like payback gets worse, as the intensity of your payback increases. So you start crossing a payback threshold, and you start talking about mild, moderate, severe, and then even catastrophic that you may not be able to escape. So it's not for the faint of heart. It's not for people who are just messing around. Like, you have to know what you're doing with it. And that's basically why in this universe you can have any power. You can bring any power into this universe, but it's subject to payback, and that kind of keeps everyone from becoming, God tier, right, where they can bring the whole universe down. Okay. So payback comes in many forms. We've got malfunctions. This especially hits machine chemistry escape artists when they have their own form of, unlike the other forms of chemistry, when you're in a machine escape artist, your payback kind of applies to your machines directly, right? So your machines might malfunction, they may come after you. That's a very specific type that it does.
Or for special agents as well.
Special agents, and I have a few images for that too. We'll share. There's the Flux Destiny Phantoms, which excuse me, Payback Phantoms that I just went over a few seconds ago. And then there's even environmental payback. So sometimes the environment will change shape, um, and literally try to swallow you up. So you have a lot of dangers that you have to be careful with when it comes to payback.
Yeah, it's important to note that, especially with like escape artist karmistry, or even sometimes clockbot karmistry, if they're doing more escape artist type karmistry, is that the payback will come in a form of the karmistry that created it. So if you are like an elemental user and you're pushing the boundary and you're using your fire and blowing stuff up, well, you're going to probably get maybe a wildfire will come after you, or a payback phantom that comes to life but is burning embers. Like those, like kind of just like inky black are like the basic forms. That's like the foundational level. But phantoms and these other things actually look very different, depending on what you've done to create that thing. So if you end up getting a phantom or a malfunction or an environment thing, especially if it's like an environment, you're using your powers in a way that messes with the world around you, it might come back and completely shift on you. So if you're using gravity, you might end up having a payback come and increase gravity by 10 times, and then you can't walk, right? So it's very dangerous. It's not something. Sometimes we joke around and we say like, oh, like escape artists are named literally after escaping payback. Well, sometimes if you push it too far, it like stops you from escaping. So it's very dangerous. It's not. They look cute, but they're not. They could be very deadly.
I think that was really important what you just brought up to the fact that payback can take like we said, those are kind of like the default shapes. They can take all sorts of different shapes, so you don't kind of really know where they're coming from. The fact that they take all these different shapes is kind of themed in our universe where what goes around comes around. And so that's kind of the basis of karmistry. And so obviously everything is very heavily karma themed in this world. So what goes around comes around. So your payback will take the form of these of whatever thematically what you were doing. So that's a great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you brought that up. Um, so let's now talk about backfire. So there's a different types of payback that the other types of escape artists can excuse me, um, factions of people in this universe can experience. There's backfires, for example. So, whoop, hold on. Sorry, this little thing is screwing up. There we go. So, like special agents, for example, who use karma tech, which special agents in general, if you're just kind of a general special agent, they don't perform karmistry themselves unless you're like an escape artist who happens to be a special agent. They use karma tech, which are devices and weapons that use karmistry to to attack or defend or whatever the case may be. In this case here, someone pushing their weapon too far, if it backfires, it can it can injure you. It can collapse. It can explode. There's all sorts of things that can happen with a backfire of karma tech. This poor dude right here probably lost an arm in this process.
Yeah.
So
It
this is
takes a lot of skill. And it's not just the fear of backfire that makes special agents like very skilled. When we talk about these other factions, we talk about escape artists being really smart. Special agents, you have to be very skilled to use these weapons. They're not just like random pull the trigger kind of thing. Like you have to be very strong. You have to know how to use them. They're very technologically advanced. So it's not just like, oh, here, pull the trigger. It's like, okay, I've got to load the karma and I've got to do it a special way and I have to hold it a special way. And so it takes a lot of work. And same with the ink fighters. We talked about it being push button karmistry, but it also takes a lot of skill to learn how to fight, to use your sigils correctly, to even getting a sigil is very painful. So when we talk about these other groups, there's a lot of danger and different types of skill than an escape artist or a clockbot. So anyway, I just wanted to preface that.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. In fact, that's a great lead into the sigils, the sigil backfires. So here we got a little image here. You can see your sigils can also backfire and turn on you in all sorts of different ways. You know, they can if you've got like a animal based sigil, it can turn on you. If you have weapon based sigils, they can backfire. There's all sorts of really terrible ways that it can malfunction on you. Now, usually sigils, the sigil backfiring of all the types is really something that's like a little different than the others because a lot of the payback has already been assumed by the people who create the sigils. They're called ink artists, and it's a very slow, very like expensive process because the person making the sigil, the artist, is incurring the payback as they're making it, and so a lot of that is paid up front. It doesn't mean that it still can't, you know, backfire later, but that's why they're so expensive, is because um, they're dangerous to make. And that was kind of like part of like making this universe something that was like realistic, that had like its own real boundaries, which is like if you don't have, you know, I'm a big believer in the importance of like creating hurdles and because they create drama, right? Like if when you get into our core rule book, there's a whole section in the back that goes over all like these major laws in Fortuna about using karmistry. The
Mhm.
purpose of providing those is to create drama in the story, right? Where you will create situations where characters break those laws, right? No one, like, if you want to have a slice of life story, that's totally fine, right? You can do that. But if you want to have one that's like action packed and filled with like drama and you know, intrigue and conspiracy and all sorts of stuff, you can use these kind of rules and break them, you know, to create situations in your story writing. And so when we were creating the different types of karmistry users in this universe, wanted to be sure that it was something that every power had a pro and con. Escape artists can do really powerful things with escape with their karmistry, but they're subject to payback, right? Like direct payback. And so they have to be very careful in what they do, and they have to be pretty physically fit to be able to escape the consequences of what they're doing. So that's a really important one. Um, you know, ink fighters, while they may have more push button karmistry that they don't have to worry about um, payback in the same way as escape artists, those those sigils can wear out. They kind of
Mhm.
burn out, and they can't be refilled by the ink fighter. They have to either use like an ink syringe, which is actually an item in the RPG and in this universe, or they have to. It is. It's like, see the tie-in. I told you. There's all this all connected, Ella. It's all connected with
It's
this.
all a circle. It's
It's
all
all
coming together.
it's all coming together with it. But the ink fighters, they they have their own, like I said, they have their own con, which is like their con is that if their sigil burns out, there's nothing they can do in the middle of a fight. So they have to be careful with the way they use it, right?
Mhm.
Whereas escape artists, they're not limited by that. They can draw in karma into their Taurus, um, which is the golden. If you've seen, I'll put them back up on the screen. If you're new here and you've seen Marco and Hugo, for example, they've got these. You know, Hugo's in particular has this his famous chunky Taurus is what we call it. It's like this big golden ring that he has, and you need that to kind of siphon karma to use it to perform karmistry. So escape artists can keep doing that. They can keep pulling karma from the environment, and so they're not limited by that. So it's kind of a give and take. Marco wears his on his ears and his earrings, so those Tauruses can take different shapes in there. Um, so that's like the core. Those are the core concepts of karmistry and of the universe. When we go later today, we're going to be having a um, when we talk about we have our session about kind of different locations. We'll talk to you about kind of Fortuna, which is the main country, and some of these other places. And then soon we're going to be releasing a world map that's going to have all these other countries and places that you can base your OCs in. Um,
Yeah.
so I
It's
think.
important to
Go ahead.
I will say this. So I get a lot of questions a lot because I help out in the community a lot. So here's the main thing. when you're creating a character or a story or anything to do with Flux Destiny, the main thing to remember is that it has to have a balance. That you could have a cool power, but what is the opposite of that? Which is that something needs to bend or give or be taken from to create that cool power. Oh, I have this really cool character who can, create giant fireballs. Well, they're going to run into payback. They're going to run into issues. Maybe they don't have the skill for it, and it burns them up. Maybe they don't have the protective clothing that they need, and it hurts, right? So there are always going to be consequences for your actions, right? And every consequence also has a good side too. So, oh well, uh, not every consequence is a good side, but you should think about them in pairs, right? Oh, well, my character has this, dark past. Well, then what are they going towards? What's their motivation to get out of that? Like, why does that dark past add to their character, right? So when you think about your characters and your stories, try to think about it in a pair, So I've got this really cool power, but they always need to worry about this little thing that happens when I use my power. Okay, I'm gonna have this dark past. Well, what is the motivation to get out of it, or to be a better person because of it, or does it change my character in a way to make them evil, right? So when you are thinking about Flux Destiny, always think about it with both sides, and maybe it's a little bit of both because not everything is super cut and dry. So if you're thinking about a story, add more consequence, add more reasons to why things are the way that they are. It is both. So that's something to think about as you move through Flux Destiny. And you can see that here. We have traits, but we also have flaws. We have Flux Destinies, but we also have payback, and so there's both in everything that we do. So that's really, really, really important. When you're creating these cool characters, sometimes it's not all this amazing, glory and all of this fun stuff. Being an escape artist comes with a cost, so it's something to remember as you create.
If you are a creator, if you're a writer who loves putting your characters through lots of trauma, this is your universe. This is okay. I'm just telling you. Like, if you want to, or as we say it in a nicer way, if you want to put your characters through a character arc, this is the
Mhm.
place to do it, right? Because there's
Right.
lots of opportunities to do that here with the way our universe is set up. So
But
definitely,
remember, what you said was important because it's an arc. They don't stay in that dark place
that's
just
right.
forever and ever, unless it turns them into a villain, and that's a whole nother story. But
That's a whole
like
separate.
you said, dark backgrounds work in this world really well, and even happy backgrounds work well because they become this arc. They become a journey that your character goes on.
Well said. Well said. Okay, so now we're just going to go over the RPG with you guys and share that with you and kind of thumb through it. I was going to show you the core rulebook and let you see the inside and tell you a little bit about it. Flux Fantasy. Here's the cover. You've probably seen this before. This is the cover of the book. It is over 300 pages. Don't let that intimidate you though, because we've built it a special way. So the reason why it's so big is that it's filled with lore. It even has its own game built in. Like, you get a free game called Lunar Showdown at the end that you can actually play with your friends. It's already, like, usually you'd have to buy something like that separate. It's built into this. There's maps. The Like I said, the lore section alone is pretty substantial, and then
Mm,
obviously the main mechanics of the game. But the cool thing is, right when you get into the book, within the first, I think it's like within the first, I don't know, 15 pages or something, of thumbing through stuff, there's a quick start guide. And there's a quick start guide to help you with the lore, uh, to understand the kind of the basis of the universe and the main mechanics. So you can jump right in. The rest of it is meant to be like reference material. So don't let the size of the book like intimidate you. You don't have to read the whole book to play a game. Obviously, if you it was designed, someone like me who can spend a lot of time on like a fandom wiki or Wikipedia in
mm,
general. Like, I love, like, whenever I like get like geeky about a fictional universe I really love, and I will just go down this rabbit hole of all these other articles and reading. That's how this book was designed. So if you really enjoy the basis of, if you really kind of find that Flux Fantasy and the universe is something you like, you will not be able to put this down because it just covers all the main mechanics of the universe and the game itself. Um, and it was built with this idea of we want the manga universe and the RPG universe to coincide and live together. So they don't have separate rules. It's the same maps, it's the same magic system, everything is the same as I said at the start of the thing. So um you may have seen like on our socials we have we can help you design OCs. So you can actually, we have different types. You can either commission me, or we have what we call the studio line, where we have artists that I oversee who create the OCs for you that do really beautiful artwork. It's really affordable too to get our studio line stuff. And we'll even do, you know, we even have writing commissions. There's a lot of bunch of folks who can vouch for those. We've sold lots of these like character packs where we will design your character story for you and even your stats for the game too. So if you feel like a little intimidated, or if you need just a little help, whether it's just like, you know, just a little artwork, or um, maybe even just a character blurb, you know, about the character, just a short bio, that's available. It's like basically whatever your budget is, we have something available to help you out in that. And Ella and I work directly on those together. So Ella writes all the stories for you guys, and she does all the main like stats, and then I edit them and review them. And so nothing goes through that we haven't like reviewed directly and worked on together to make sure that it's as canon as possible to the universe. Um, okay, so, Ella, anything else about? So, one last thing I'll say before kind of thumb through the book with you is that it's built on our own system. So the Flux Fantasy is our own game system, and
Mhm.
it has several unique mechanics to it. And when we built it, we wanted to create something that, at least from my own experience, I wanted to create something where I remember like for the longest time when I would hear people like playing D&D and these other systems, which are great, I was very intimidated because it was like running the space shuttle, right? You had to like know all
Right.
these rules and all this stuff to play. Flux Fantasy is very different. It's more story based, right? It's been built in a way that you don't have to be like, you know, a NASA scientist to play this, right? It's more about telling stories and having fun with your friends and interacting with OCs and creating characters than it is about like number crunching. Um, and when you check out our online character creator, you'll see that it's pretty straightforward with it. Um, we have a unique, like the karmistry system itself and payback system is very unique, and the talent system, which is basically when you're creating your character, you get to pick traits and flaws. You can't just be like Mary Sue in this universe, right? Like it's not built to be that way. Like it's built to be where as realistic as possible, so that if you pick a number of traits, like good traits, like let's say you're you know charismatic and good looking and dependable, you have to pick three negative traits to go with it so that you can,
Mm.
you know, round out your character. Anything, Ella, before I pull up you're gonna bring up the, okay.
No, that was you did great.
Okay, so I'm gonna switch the screen now and show you the core rulebook. Ella will disappear. She's still here, but for some reason
Bye.
we couldn't get her to we couldn't get her like bubble to show up for some reason on this thing. So you'll just see me, but she's here, and you'll still hear her talking. So I swear that was not by design. Uh, let me switch this to the other side. Okay, so oops, let me turn this one. Sorry, we got a double thing going on here. Okay, so here's the core rulebook, and you'll see that when you get this one, here's just the just kind of a quick preview so you can kind of see what's in it. Um, it's pretty. We are very proud of this. This was a lot of work for us to put together and make it work. I'm just going to show you how it's kind of organized so that you guys can see that, like I told you, it's not something to be intimidated about, but it's actually meant to kind of like walk you through. So once you get past the welcome, there's all sorts of cool stuff about the welcome and what the universe is and how to use the book. It's broken up into these sections, right? You've got the quick start guide, you've got the lore section, you've got how to play, which is all the mechanics. You have a character creation guide, which the character creation guide that is available in our for free on our store. So if you go to shop.fluxdestiny.com, it'll take you straight to like the Gumroad store. You can download that for free and test this out. There's the other section. We've got like extra mechanics. We've got um, uh, like other. I think that's where the extra games are. Like we have extra like mini games, all sorts of cool stuff in there. Game Master guide. So there's a section just for Game Masters that gives you all the information you need to be able to to um, to GM a game. And then there's the bonus game, Lunar Showdown, which is a full. Ella, I forgot how many pages Lunar Showdown is. Do you remember how many pages that is?
I don't know. Let me just look.
It's pretty. It's. I think it's. I think it's like. I'm gonna let her say it because I don't want to be proven wrong.
How much do you think it is?
I think it's like 30 pages.
Yep, just about.
Just 30 pages. Yes, yeah, so it's a 30
Yeah.
page story, and I'll show you what they look like so you can kind of see what that is. Um, So anyways, so once you get through, you go straight into the to this quick start guide. And so the quick start guide actually starts on with lore by having the first the introduction sequence from the manga in there. So you quickly get into what the universe is and how it works. And then you go right into your quick start, your supplies, what you need. Literally all you need is your character sheet, which you can print out if you want, or you can um, use the online one, which I highly recommend you use the online one. Because you can actually download and save your characters and re-upload them as you play. You just need a D20 and a D10 and a D4, right, Ella? So you need those
Yep.
three.
Which,
And
by the way, you don't unless you're like a goblin like me and like to collect, dice and stuff. You can just look online. Just look up dice. D20 on whatever search engine that you like, and then you can just roll from there. So you don't need. We try to keep it as simple as possible. You don't need all of this equipment and stuff. We try to provide as much as possible.
so that's all the quick start guide. So I'm just kind of flipping through here with it. Then we get into the lore section, and this is I really love this part of it. This is like the basis of the whole universe. You can learn. It's almost like our encyclopedia. It was designed to be that way. So when you read in this, you can, and it'll walk you through. It was designed to walk you through like step by step. So if you're just walking into this universe and you're like, I don't like, where do I even start? From here, you can learn about the whole universe and all the mechanics step by step because everything builds on top of each other. So there's really cool illustrations in here and just lots of information about how everything works. Um, and then there's like explanation about the different types of payback that we were talking about earlier. There's all sorts of fun information in here about that. Um, let me take you now to the section about where you'll start getting into the character creator guide. So the character creator guide, which is available, like I said, for free, which is literally this section within the core rulebook. That's something that you definitely want to get to sample because you'll be able to create right away. There's the in-depth how to play guide in here, which is really cool. It has everything. I mean, if you sat and read this thing, you would know everything. But like I said, you don't have to do that to be able to play. Let's see what else we got here. Character creation guide. This is the part that you'll get if you download the character creator guide for free. That's what comes with this. So all the information you need to create them is in here. And then I'm just going to show you some of the game stuff. Let's see
The
here.
game stuff is my favorite part.
The game stuff is pretty cool. This is the cool stuff. Let's see. The stuff about the like items. There's item section. We even have our own trading card mechanic. Ella, do you want to talk about the trading cards?
Yeah, so the trading cards might be the one thing that's a little bit different between Flux Destiny and Flux Fantasy. In Flux Destiny, we do have trading cards. They're very popular. They depict different locations and heroes in the world and stuff like that. But in Flux Fantasy, we've taken it a step further, and you can actually use your trading cards that you collect over different games or lives or random events that we give out trading cards for, and they come with special effects that you can actually use in game. So some of them are like one-offs. You turn them in and you get that effect, and some of them you use. You kind of can keep them and you can use them once per game. Um, but they're very helpful because some of them keep you from getting damage, and some of them give you health, and some of them give you money, and merits back. And so it all just sort of depends on how you use them. So it's a pretty cool way to use a trading card is to turn it in, and nothing in this game is not useful. So you get a trading card, and you know you use it in game, and so that's the fun part about it. And it's a little different than Flux Destiny. I will admit, it's probably the one thing that is in the world of Flux Destiny, the manga. I don't think that they have special powers like they do in Flux Fantasy, but we wanted to take it a step further and do something kind of unique.
And what's cool is if you see here on the screen, we even give you a template, and in the back there's actually more templates where you can create your own trading cards. So if you want to, you can create your own trading cards and give them their own powers and use them in your own games. So I love this little mechanic. It's a lot of fun. It's something that we're really proud of with it. Our game master's guide, which has everything about how to like deal with enemies and creating unique situations, is all in here. How to handle like payback phantoms. It's just like a complete guide to GMing your own game on it. We're going to release expansions to this, like our own like GM guides that go to it, that will be able to give you even more to GM your own games. Our extra section, which this is something I was mentioning earlier. All the laws about karmistry are in here that exist like in Fortuna. And the reason, again, why these are there, if you're just joining us, it was not to create like, oh, we want to create this bureaucracy for the sake of doing that. No, these are meant to be broken. Like these are rules that are meant to be broken so that you can create drama in your storytelling. And so you can learn about all the rules of how Flux Destinies and Karmistry can be used and not used in this universe. Finally, when we start getting into like the final parts of this, we've got the character sheets are in here. We've got example character sheets where we've built characters for you. So you can even play these if you want. If you wanted to take
Yeah.
these characters and play them, which is a lot of fun. But we've built unique characters for you to play or to learn from. So there's like I think like 4 or 5 characters. Ella,
4, I think.
okay,
Yeah.
4, yeah. Um, the skill tree is in here too, obviously. So we have our own unique skill tree that will, as you upgrade to different levels of your powers in this universe, you'll use the skill tree to do that. Here's the look, more templates where you can sit. I would have, if if I wasn't the creator of this and I had more time to do this, if I saw this, I would have so much fun doing these trading cards. Like I look at this and I
Yeah.
go, God, I wish I had the time to make these. Like I just, and I'm the creator and I don't have time to like sit and make these things. But like that, it's a lot of fun. You can make your own trading cards. So I just think that's super fun with it. Finally, in the last sections of it, there's Lunar Showdown, which is the full game, and this is something I just wanted to show you how these work. Is that when you get one of our games, so Lunar Showdown is included in the core rulebook, but if you buy another one and you're GMing these games, they're built into basically 4 sections. There's like a welcome section that introduces the NPCs who are in the game, the scenario, everything that's going on. Then there's the story itself that's broken up into 3 acts. And when you play these, it's built in a way so you can see here on the screen that we've built it so it's super easy. Once you've known the scenario, you have the instructions are super clear. It's like black text is meant for just for the GM to read. Blue text is dialogue. There's purple flavor text, and then there's like magenta tips just for the GM. So this is very easy to navigate. And so when you're going through these games, after you kind of familiarize yourself with the NPCs and the scenario, you go straight into the game, and it's kind of like you don't have to sit and invent. You can riff off this. You don't have to follow it exactly, but it's made for a way where you can just get your friends together and play without having to do a lot of preparation. We've already done all the preparation for you. So all that's in here, and you can play it, and you can. The cool thing is that the way it's designed is that you can replay it multiple times and have different results with
Yeah.
it. So that's what's cool about it too.
Yeah,
Finally,
and
just
just to be clear, yeah, these games are kind of like our pre-made base games, but you could get this game just for the scenario and like kind of read through it as a GM. And if you're a GM that likes to invent or tear things apart and create sort of your own world, these are you could do that. You know, you could completely tear it apart, make new NPCs and new villains and whatever you wanted to do. We wanted to provide the foundation, and you know you can tear it apart from there, you know, and create your own game. And you can write your own games too, but these are available for those who are like, man, I want to run a game, but I just don't have time, you know.
yeah,
Um,
because it's
yeah,
such a like it's we kind of built this OC first, right? It's like a lot of people want to just create cool characters and have adventures. That's why we took all the hard work out of that, like of the universe itself out. Like building the universe alone and the magic system was a hell of a lot of work. So we did all that for you. And the stories, the main stories, we've kind of built those for you. And again, you don't have to use them, but we've done them for you so that you can just focus on putting your characters in situations and having fun with other friends who have OCs. That's what I was saying earlier. It was so fun to watch other OCs. Like it's so surreal for me to watch you guys who are have your own OCs with their own socials interact with each other or interact with Hugo online. It's very cool to see that. And I just love people like just living out their creativity, live with it. And finally, just rounding this out with it, there's a bunch of maps in here, so you get all these like really cool full color maps to use for Lunar Showdown. So yeah, it's a fully packed book full of stuff. Ella, now you're back. I've switched back, so you're here with me. Um,
stop picking my nose. Okay,
um, so yeah, hope you enjoyed that little tour. Anything else you wanted to add, Ella, to that?
that's that's pretty much it. I mean, it. I hope that this is. I hope that you are as inspired as we are. You know, when you look at this, it is inspiring to you. You know, where you can look at it and be like, wow, there's so much world to explore, right? uh, I don't want anybody to think, oh, I have to know every little part of it to like get it right. This is a world for you to discover. You know, it's a
Right.
world for you um, to learn, you know, about in the manga and in Flux Fantasy. So there's no pressure. You know, take the pressure off. You know, leave the pressure at the door, and just have fun with it. You know, and yeah, that's why we're kind of why we do these fantasy fests, you know, to remind you that it's okay to jump in a game even if you're scared, you know. Join the RP, the role play games, the slice games, join the socials, you know. It's okay to get things wrong, it's okay to join and, you know, mess up a role. Like we're here to enjoy and have fun, and take the pressure off. You know, this is not some strict like, oh, I have to know everything before I go in, you know. So yeah, that's all
That's
I wanted to add.
Well, that's so well said, because that was one of the things that intimidated me about some of these RPGs that I thought what were going to happen, right? Was that if I didn't know how to play, that I
Hmm.
somehow like it was just so much to learn. But that's the thing. You don't have to know everything. You can just go in, and the way we've kind of built the culture around this is the GMs who play it know that, and they're there to encourage people. A lot of times, what's really fascinating for a lot of people, this is their first TTRPG.
Hmm.
This, we hear that a lot. This is the first time I'm doing it, which is awesome. But it doesn't mean that it's elementary. It means that you can be a player of any skill because it's story based. You can be a player of any skill and get into this. So be sure to check out our Patreon. Uh, the links are below because you can go sign up. There's different tiers. We have a Game Pass tier where you can play Flux Fantasy game nights, where they're official game nights that we put on that are in the server through our
We've got
GMs.
three more. We've got three more. Sorry to interrupt you. We've got
Yeah,
three
good.
more this month. I've got one that's Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm playing Lunar Showdown. We've got Mal. He's at the end of the week. He's playing Circuit Break, which is like a fun spy mission, sort of like an escape mission. And then Thomas is playing Predestined, that has Hugo and Marco and a little bit of some fun Wolfgang drama. He's playing that next week. So we've only got three more this month. They're filling up. So if you wanted to join, now's the time. So, and if you've been hesitant to join, I promise you're going to like it. There are people who have not played any RPGs or don't know anything about the world who have jumped in and had a lot of fun. And you will too. So,
And the cool thing is, if you buy the core rulebook, it comes with a free Flux Fantasy game night. So you'll get an email after buying it that'll give you a code, and you can sign up for Lunar Showdown and play it for free with a group. Um, and so it's a great way to test out and play it. If you go to play.fluxfantasy.com, Elle, if you wouldn't mind putting that in the chat, why?
I did already.
Oh, you
I
did?
knew we were going to
Oh,
talk about
oh, you
this.
did it.
Yeah.
Okay, she did. All right, I didn't see it. That's the scheduling system where you can go schedule that out. Um, and I think that's about it for. I think we really covered everything.
Yep.
Shop.fluxdestiny.com if you want to check out the games, the core rulebook, everything is on there. The free character creator guide, everything's there. And finally, just to remind you to go to links.fluxdestiny.com, and that's everything Flux Destiny. Like, if all else fails, if you don't know where to go, go to this links.fluxdestiny.com. That will take you everywhere, everywhere that you can find us. We do all sorts of cool lives during the month. We do sketchy lives where I draw, like I do sketch requests that we have lots of fun with. We do Patreon members have their own unique live streams where they get to watch me work on pieces or commissions, and they get to chat or just chill together. We have all sorts of cool events. There's all sorts of cool stuff. We have just like a constant flow of like events and things that we do to entertain the community. So I hope you check us out. So tonight, or not tonight, in a couple hours at 3 p.m. Central, that's 1 p.m. Pacific and 4 p.m. Eastern, is our second event of the day, which is we're going to be going over the map and the world of Fortuna, and I'm going to show you some mood boards, and we're going to kind of show you kind of what this world is like. And I think the mixer is in between, right? Mixer starting soon, or what's that?
No, the mixer is after.
Oh, it's after.
So that's
It's after.
yeah.
Okay. So the mixer's after. Um, there is a link in the YouTube bio description. Go check that out. If you're not in our Discord server, every time we have a Flux Fantasy Fest or MiniCon, we open the server, and normally you'd have to buy something like a book or something to get in, because we try to make sure that it's like a serious community. Like, I don't mean serious like that people are like furious. I mean, it's like we don't want just like randos in there, and so we want people who are like
We want to
really
protect our community. That's what we're
protect our
trying to say.
community, and so we kind of have it walled off. But during the fest, we open it, and you can come in. This is a great time to bring your friends. I keep saying this, but now is the time to do it. Bring your friends in, give them the link, bring them into the community. Even if you just want to like lurk, it's totally welcome. You don't have to say anything. You can come in and just watch and dip your toes into it. But bring your friends in. You're going to make new friends. You're going to find our lore leaders who are great at like helping you with your Ella, especially is great at helping answering questions about building your OC or kind of guiding you in the right direction. So be sure to check all that out. Ella, thank you. This was a
Of
good
course.
good, exciting start to Flux Fantasy Fest mini con. Today and tomorrow. I'm already missing the big one. The big one,
Oh
like I
yeah.
can't wait till we do the big one again. That one is a lot of fun. I know you can probably wait because you got to do all the hard work for it, but I miss those. Those are quite an experience. Um, anyways, thank you, Ella. Thank you all for coming on early with us. If you're on the Pacific Coast, hope you enjoyed this opening event. And if you're new to Flux Destiny Universe, welcome. Can't wait to tell you more about it. Come into our Discord server, follow our socials, subscribe here on YouTube. We just crossed 900 subscribers on YouTube.
Woo!
Woo! So we're going to be doing a lot more. We've got some big actual. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm going to spoil it. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I don't want to spoil her big projects. I keep doing it.
Just
I'm always on the
make sure
verge.
you're here tomorrow. That's all I have to say.
Make sure you're here
You'll
for
see.
tomorrow. That's right. All right, guys. I will see you at 3 p.m. for our next event. See you soon.
Bye.